From the controversy over business cards to the old Piggly Wiggly site, I speak exclusively with Charleston City Council member and Mayor Pro Tem Peter Shahid for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Listen to this interview later on iHeartRadio, and of course, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Councilman Peter Shahid.
Yes, sir.
It's so good to see you.
Always good to see you.
Likewise.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you.
You're welcome. I want to talk to you because obviously I'm coming to you with some developing news.
Right.
As you know, former Charleston City Council member Rodney Williams has passed away.
Yes, very sad.
What else memories do you have when you think of Rodney Williams?
Well, you know, when I got elected in 2015, Rodney reached out to me immediately. He didn't know who I was, and it was really interesting. He was kind of like feeling me out. Who are you? Where'd you come from? And he took the time to talk to me. And so we found out very quickly we had a lot of common friends. And one of them was Fred Strobel.
Right.
Fred was such a mentor to me when I was at the U.S. Attorney's Office. He was a Deputy United States Marshal. And Fred did the same thing with Rodney, apparently. He was a mentor to him. And so we were sitting there at lunch, and somehow Fred's name came up. And Rodney went, wait a minute. He picked up his phone, and he said, Fred Strobel, I'm with this guy named Peter Shahid. And I could hear Fred go, well, tell Peter I said hello. And all of a sudden, we had instant credibility with one another because of our common friendship with Fred Strobel. So Rodney took me in. When I had questions about some of the procedural stuff about council and some of the inner workings, what was going on, he had that background information and knowledge. So I will remember Rodney always very fondly as a friend who reached out to me.
Yes, good man. Let me stay with Charleston City Hall. We're really right next door. There's a lot of issues going on.
Right.
You're Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
What is it like for you to be on City Council these days?
First of all, I love being on City Council. And I have said this publicly on numerous occasions. It's an honor for me to be on City Council. It's an honor for people to have faith in me and confidence in me, for me to represent them in my district. I take this very seriously, that I am a steward of their interests and of their concerns, and I'm there to serve my folks in my district in the City of Charleston. And I think that is a mindset you have to be on City Council. You're there to serve the people of your community. And you've got to promote what's important for them. Flooding is important for them. Traffic is important for them. Public safety is important for them. Downtown is more of an issue with hotels and how that is impacting our city. We're one city. Councilman Mitchell keeps on saying this over and over again. I don't care where you are, what district you represent, we're one city. And we have to keep that in mind, that we're here to improve the lives of our citizens. So I'm proud of the opportunity to do that, and I hope that my constituents are proud of me, that I'm doing the work that they want me to do for them. We may disagree from time to time with my constituents, and they may not like some of the things that I'm doing, but I'm trying to do what's good for the common good of my community. So that's number one. I don't like all of this infighting. I don't think the community likes this infighting, what they see on City Council. I know we are in an election year. I know there's several people on council running for mayor, but that needs to stop once you enter the doors of council chambers, and we need to go about the business of the community. Now, that being said, there also has to be, the public has to have trust in their officials. If there's something going on that any council member is doing it properly or the mayor is doing it properly, yes, let's air it out. Let's air it out. But there's a process in how that should be done. And I'm just concerned that we're straying away from that process.
Why wasn't the business cards issue addressed a year or two ago?
Why wasn't it addressed at all? And why wasn't it addressed by somebody coming up to the mayor and go, Mayor, I hear word on the street that your wife's name is on the back of a business card. Why didn't somebody knock on the mayor's door and have that conversation with them first?
And obviously there's a couple other allegations that she drives around the mayor's car. Right. She has a set of keys to City Hall. When you look at it, what do you say?
Well, I look at this, and it goes back to what's important for the community. And the issues that are important for the community are the things that we just talked about. So these collateral issues about whether or not her name's on the back of a card or not, I wouldn't have done that. And I think members of council would not put their wives' names on the back of their cards. I get it. But is it such an egregious breach of some kind of protocol that deserves the mayor to be raked across the coals on this thing? And my answer is no. I mean, we're talking about $10 difference on having a car splinted. Okay. The issues with her driving the car. No, technically she should not be driving the car, and that should be brought to the mayor's attention. Say, Mayor, if you're doing that, you need her to stop. She should not be driving the car. I know why that's happening. I'm sure, just like the mayor's busy, he's rushing from one meeting to another or one commitment to another, and he's probably, I suspect, he's saying to his wife, "Well, would you drive while I read these papers over and get ready for last minute things I need to do for this meeting I'm going to?" I'm sure that happens, at times. I know he has staff members who do that for him in the daytime. I suspect at nighttime that is what may have taken place.
Now, obviously, they called for an audit for the mayor. That's been approved. Should an audit be for every city council member and mayor candidate in your mind?
We know we are governed by the South Carolina Ethics Commission. We have certain rules we've got to follow with the ethics as we're raising money, outside interest. We have to disclose all those sort of things. So we've got to watch it all over our shoulder now. And they are concerned with their broad issues of ethics and how every elected official has to govern themselves and behave. The things that we're talking about now are whether or not the mayor violated a policy dealing with his wife driving the car, whether or not he violated some city policy dealing with reimbursement of expenses. City council members don't touch any money. The only money we come across is a stipend we get, the salary we get, and that money is directly deposited into one of my accounts. The other thing is that when we go on an official city trip, we submit a voucher, and we had to have documentation that we did that. I mean, that's the extent of anything that we do. So I guess, if somebody did something totally improper about a travel voucher, that should come under scrutiny, obviously. I mean, I'm very careful about that sort of stuff. I get guidance and say, what do you need from me to get reimbursed on? And if there's something that's questionable, I don't even submit it. If I don't have the documentation, I just have to eat that cost. It's my fault for not having the documentation.
And I want to go back to what you said about commitments. Obviously, you're focused, like you mentioned, on flooding and hotels and other issues. And I know a few minutes ago you talked to me about Charleston 360. What is that?
So the Charleston 350 is in April of 2020. We will commemorate the first English settlers coming to what is now known as Charlestown Landing. We don't know the exact date in April, but we know it took place in April of 1670. So for the 350 commemoration is to do that, commemorate the first settlers coming to Charlestown in April of 1670. And there's a commission set up to help prepare for this event. So we've got something that's going to happen at Charlestown Landing on Founders Day in 2020. We're going to have several events between April and hopefully through November that we're working on to commemorate the true story of the founding of Charleston and the history of Charleston. It's 350 years of some very rich history. And we need to talk honestly about the history of Charleston. We need to talk honestly about our institutions. That includes slavery. Rice was a huge product that drove the engine of Charleston. The reason we have these grand homes, these grand estates, the reason that we have these institutions around here, how did that come about? Did that come about from slave labor? The role of all of that? The role of different groups coming into Charleston, the French Huguenots, the Irish, the Lebanese, over time. And there's a lot of things that I don't think that we emphasize on Charleston's role, particularly in the American Revolution, and South Carolina's role in the American Revolution. And we were a critical part of the success of the American Revolution in South Carolina and in Charleston.
How do you talk honestly about flooding, hotels, infrastructure, and traffic now in 2019?
I think that, you've got to identify what the problem is. Okay, that's number one. There's certain things that have happened that we caused. When developers came in They came to the land. This was raw land. They developed the property. They built quality homes in Charleston, West Ashley. But over time, the infrastructure, particularly like ditches, were not maintained. And so one of the things that we can do, this is sort of the low-hanging fruit on flood control, particularly in West Ashley, is looking at these older neighborhoods and see what kind of ditch maintenance that we have out there. Most of the ditches in West Ashley are open ditches.
Sure.
In the new development on Daniel Island, they have closed ditches. They've got piping, and so you don't have to worry about maintenance of ditches. So we got to go back and look at our ditch system. What we need to do to clean up those ditches, maintain those ditches being clean. The difference with those ditches being properly maintained on a regular basis can mean the difference of whether or not water enters someone's home or not. So if it stops 2 or 3 inches of water coming up on someone's land that eventually goes into their house, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. The yard being flooded is one thing, but that water coming in or that sewage coming into someone's home, that's a huge deal. If we can prevent that by simple maintenance, we should be on top of that every day. You know.
And what's that maintenance like now? How's that looking?
Well, it's looking great, and I went to the mayor back in last year after the July rainstorm that we had, and I wrote to Laura Cabinet at that time, the director of the public works and utilities. I said, isn't it time for us to divide public utilities? Because her department was handling road control, sidewalks, traffic pickup, trash pickup, and all the ditch maintenance and stormwater. And I went to the mayor. I said, "Wait, time out. We need to dedicate one department in the city of Charleston that deals just with stormwater and flooding issues." The mayor agreed with me. City council agreed with me. We created a stormwater department. That came out of what I saw as an imminent need that it should be. Just put our money where our mouth is. We talk about it being the #1 issue. Here's a way to take care of that with creating this stormwater department, and we did that. So we got one guy, we got a staff who's dedicated on just one issue only. The other part of public works is dealing with these other issues I just mentioned to you. So that is a huge, huge advantage of what we're doing right now.
And obviously you talk about sidewalks, that's a big issue in West Ashley. Where are we with that?
I think the sidewalks are in pretty good shape. You know, part of the things that we've done with the Plan West Ashley is to address connectivity. So, for instance, we've got the study coming up on the, I call it the suicide verge.
Okay.
They don't like me to call it the suicide verge, but it's the intersection where Highway 171 and Highway 7 come together at the old Piggly Wiggly site. There's a meeting on May 29th, so people come to this meeting on May 29th, folks who are watching this. We had 4 plans. They've been reduced to 2. There'll be a meeting at the First Christian Church on Orange Grove Road. Come out to that meeting, look at the plans, look at the 2 plans that we have now. Come to that. That's going to create a redesign of the suicide merge. Very much a part of all of this is connectivity. So what we're looking for as part of this merge redesign is to create connectivity so people can successfully and safely cross Old Town Road and San Rittenberg Boulevard at different locations throughout all of this and create those sidewalks. One of the other issues we're talking about are bike lanes, and so that you have safe bike lanes so people can get across the highway, go from point A to point B safely. Safety is a critical part of all of this stuff.
Those 2 plans, why are those 2 plans?
What do you mean why 2? Well, you had 4. So you come up with plans, you present it to the public. The public had a huge impact on the 4 plans. They scrapped some of the things that were in there, particularly the roundabout.
Oh, yeah.
That's gone. So if the public input has a huge impact on what these engineers are looking at. They take those things seriously. They looked at these designs and go, okay, we got 4. We threw 2 off the table. We're back down to 2. Public, give us your input on this side. And then from the 2, we'll come up with a plan, send it to the South Carolina Department of Transportation. If they approve it, then we can start construction on this side.
How soon would that be?
That's a good question. We got to get the get through May 29th, finalize what happens out of May 29th plan. The county will then take those plans to South Carolina Department of Transportation. I can't tell you how long that process will take. Once they approve it, then we're gonna get the funding, and let's get the ball rolling. I've been working on this since March of 2016.
I remember that.
And the mayor and I met with the county back. After we got sworn into office, that was one of our top priorities. In doing that.
How much would this cost the average taxpayer in West Ashley?
I don't know the average taxpayer would have cost an average taxpayer. The project is estimated, and you have to be careful. It's estimated at $10 million, but it depends on what plan is going to be adopted and approved. So you have to be careful when you start talking about price tags because there's so many moving parts and all of that. But $10 million sounds about within the ballpark of all that. In addition, in July, we're going to have another meeting coming up. Come to the West Ashley Revitalization Commission meeting. We have a public forum to talk about what we're going to put at the Piggly Wiggly site. And that's going to be really exciting stuff going on about that as well.
What would you like to have at that site?
I want, well, a couple things. You had at the Piggly Wiggly site a grocery store. That grocery store was paying sales tax and it was paying property taxes. So you had a live, viable piece of property that was contributing to the public welfare. City bought it, so it's now off there's no property tax being collected off this very, very valuable piece of property. So you've got to put something in there, and it's also part of the TIF.
Oh, yeah.
So if it's all just public use, if we just did nothing to put a park on there, then we're not getting any tax dollars out of that.
Okay.
But there's a way to develop that property for private use, whether it's office spaces, restaurants, some kind of residential component to it that's going to generate taxes again. But there's enough property going to be left over that we can put a city public use building on there, some kind of civic use building on there. I would love to have a portion of the property dedicated to public use, have a facility there so that neighborhood associations have a place to meet. I have a place to meet with my constituents. If you do this right, you may have a little bit of a park left over. That's going to be a very passive park, and you may be able to perform wedding ceremonies there or some other kind of activities there. So it'd be good to have a portion of this available for the public good, for the public use. It'd be wonderful to have city offices there, like the West Ashley project manager, have his place located there. Have a place for the police to have a substation there. There's a lot of public uses we can establish if we put the city flag right there. This is a gateway to South Carolina. This is a gateway to Charleston. This is a gateway to the City of Charleston. This should be a place that's beautiful and that we're very proud of.
It's beautiful. It's a gateway to Charleston, but how much will it cost?
That you don't know until you get a plan out there. So, those are the hurdles we've got to tackle, and hopefully we develop the front end of this thing so you get tax dollars coming in that will help contribute to the cost of whatever we put up there.
What do you hope those tax dollars will bring in?
Well, going back to what's going to happen there. Is it going to be commercial? Is it going to be residential? Is it going to be office space? You're speculating at this point until you have an idea of what we actually could be putting in there.
And when you look around your district right now, what else do you want to see?
I want to see, of course, that's the number one priority, is this intersection with the redesign of the merge, the Piggly Wiggly site. There's a bunch of studies that are on the table for flooding issues, particularly behind Ashley Plaza. The community back there, we need to spend some money to help alleviate some of the flooding that's going on in that neighborhood. There's also areas of Ashley Hall Road that are flooded. We've got to take care of those neighborhoods as well. I want to see more recreational opportunities over in my district. The folks in Park Shore want to upgrade the park over there at Park Shore. And they've got a beautiful natural trail that we want to have redone, make more advantageous for them. Also, Old Town Road needs some tender loving care. And the county is working on the park right next to Charlestown Landing. Here's an opportunity for us to be looking at Old Town Road and seeing what we can do to beautify it, to make sure we're consistent with our Plan West Ashley, so that we have the connectivity not just at the Suicide Merge, not just at Sumar Street, but all of Old Town Road. And why is it when you go on the interstate and the exit you take to get into Charleston, it says Cosgrove Avenue? Why does that say Old Town Road or Sam Rittenberg? It doesn't say that, it says Cosgrove. So we need to do some aesthetic differences and some aesthetic improvements. So when visitors and travelers are on Interstate 26 heading either east or west, the exit says Old Town Road. Welcome to Charleston.
Councilman Peter Shahid, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this.
It's always good talking to you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Anytime.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Come back.